Every 36 seconds, someone dies from cardiovascular disease. And what's even more concerning is that over half of people above the age of 60 are living with high cholesterol, without even knowing it. There's no clear pain, no early warning signs, just a silent process that day by day slowly narrows your blood vessels. You might think you're doing fine. You eat relatively healthy. You go for a walk every day. But the truth is, after 60, your body doesn't handle cholesterol the way it used to. And by the time you start to feel that something isn't right, the problem is often already far advanced. But here's something most people are never told. There is a very simple, almost cost-free way to help your body start clearing out cholesterol from the inside. No need to overhaul your entire diet. No need to add a long list of medications. Just one small habit, done the right way, every single day. In this video, I'm going to explain what's really happening inside your blood vessels after 60. Why many methods you've tried haven't worked. And, most importantly, the #1 drink that can activate your body's natural cleaning process, starting from the very first days. Stay with me until the end, because how you prepare and use it is what determines whether you see results or not. If you've ever tried to diet your way to lower cholesterol but didn't see the results you expected, you're not alone. Most advice out there focuses on cutting fat, avoiding red meat, or adding medication. And while those approaches aren't wrong, they only address the surface. What few people talk about is this. The problem isn't just how much cholesterol you take in, it's how your body processes and removes it. Especially after the age of 60, this system starts to slow down noticeably. Your liver doesn't function as efficiently as it used to. Your blood vessels lose flexibility. And most importantly, the endothelium, the protective inner lining of your blood vessels, begins to weaken. When that protective layer is damaged, cholesterol no longer flows smoothly through your arteries. It starts to stick, build up, and gradually form plaque. The concerning part is that this process happens very slowly, and you won't feel a thing. You continue your daily routine. You eat the same way. But inside, things are shifting in a direction you don't want. That's why so many people say, "I did everything right, but my cholesterol is still high." It's not because you did something wrong. It's because you haven't addressed the root mechanism, and this is where things change. Instead of only trying to reduce what comes in, we need to help the body remove what's already there more effectively. Once you understand this principle, you'll start to see everything you've tried before in a completely different light. Now, I'm going to rank 5 drinks, from the least effective to the most powerful, so you can clearly see which ones are truly worth starting with and which ones may feel like you're doing something, but won't create meaningful, lasting change. We'll start at number 5, not because it's useless, but because it's often misunderstood. This is a very familiar option, a soluble fiber drink, typically made from psyllium. You've probably seen it in digestive health products or been told it can help lower cholesterol. And yes, it does work, but in a very limited way. When you take psyllium, it forms a gel-like substance in your gut. This gel traps some of the bile acids, which your body makes from cholesterol. When those bile acids are bound and excreted, your liver has to pull more cholesterol from your bloodstream to produce new ones. That's how it helps lower LDL. That sounds logical. But here's what you need to clearly understand. This mechanism only works in the digestive system. It doesn't address what's happening inside your blood vessel walls. It doesn't repair the endothelium. It doesn't reduce inflammation. It doesn't restore flexibility to your arteries. In simple terms, it helps reduce the input, but it doesn't fix where the blockage is forming. So if you rely on this drink alone, the results are usually modest. Some studies show LDL reductions in the single digits, enough to support your efforts, but unlikely to create meaningful change if you're at higher risk. Another detail many people overlook is timing. If you take it randomly throughout the day, its effectiveness drops significantly. It works best when taken before a meal that contains fat, because that's when bile acids are released the most. Miss that window, and you're not really using its core mechanism. Think of this as a foundation, a light support step. It can help, but it won't be the thing that creates the kind of noticeable difference you're looking for. And that's exactly why it sits at number 5. At number 4 is a drink you've probably heard about many times on health channels, pomegranate juice combined with beetroot. On the surface, it sounds like a perfect formula. One side rich in antioxidants, the other supporting blood vessel dilation. And to be fair, there is real science behind it. Pomegranate contains powerful polyphenols, especially punicalagin, which help reduce the oxidation of LDL, the very process that makes cholesterol more harmful when it sticks to artery walls. Meanwhile, beets provide natural nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a compound that helps relax blood vessels and improve circulation. Some studies published in cardiovascular journals have shown that regular consumption of pomegranate juice can reduce oxidized LDL by around 10 to 12% over a few months. At the same time, research on dietary nitrates from beets has demonstrated improvements in endothelial function and modest reductions in blood pressure in older adults. So this isn't just hype. There is measurable benefit here. But here's what most people aren't told clearly. The effectiveness of this drink depends heavily on how you use it. With beets, the conversion of nitrates into nitric oxide relies on beneficial bacteria in your mouth. If you use mouthwash or brush your teeth right before or after drinking it, you can disrupt that entire process. The result? You're drinking it, but your body isn't getting the full benefit. There's also the question of suitability. Beets are high in oxalates, which may increase the risk of kidney stones in some individuals. Pomegranate can interact with certain medications, especially those related to blood pressure or heart conditions. These may seem like small details, but they matter when it comes to long-term use. So while this drink has a solid scientific foundation and offers real benefits, its overall impact is still moderate. It supports the process, but on its own, it's not strong enough to create a truly noticeable shift. At number 3, we start getting closer to the root of the problem, the area that many previous approaches never really address. That's hibiscus tea combined with a small amount of cinnamon. If you've never tried it, you might think it's just another herbal tea. But what makes it interesting is how it directly affects the environment inside your blood vessels. Hibiscus contains a group of compounds called anthocyanins, antioxidants that help protect the endothelium from oxidative stress. When that inner lining is protected, your blood vessels maintain their flexibility and the buildup of cholesterol slows down. That's a key difference compared to methods that only focus on lowering the LDL number. Cinnamon, especially Ceylon cinnamon, works in a different way. It helps improve insulin sensitivity, which indirectly affects how your liver processes fats and cholesterol in the bloodstream. In other words, you're influencing two systems at once, your blood vessels and your metabolism. What surprises many people is how quickly they begin to notice changes. Not in the form of sudden lab results, but in subtle ways. Feeling lighter after meals, less sluggish in the afternoon, clearer thinking. These are signs that your circulation and metabolic processes are starting to function more efficiently. That said, even with these clear benefits, this drink still isn't a breakthrough on its own. It helps protect and support, but it's not strong enough to fully reverse what has built up over many years. You can think of it as a step up, significantly better than the options below it, but still not the final piece needed to create a truly noticeable transformation. At number 2, we begin to tap into a group of compounds that have been studied extensively for years, and what's interesting is it's something very familiar. Green tea, but used in a way most people are still getting wrong. Green tea contains a key compound called catechins, especially EGCG. This is one of the rare natural compounds that can act on multiple fronts at once, reducing cholesterol absorption in the gut, limiting LDL oxidation, and helping the liver remove excess cholesterol from the bloodstream. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reviewed dozens of clinical trials and found that regular green tea consumption can significantly lower LDL over time. This effect doesn't come from a single pathway, but from a combination of multiple biological actions working together. But here's the critical point most people overlook. A large portion of the EGCG in green tea isn't actually absorbed efficiently by the body. As it passes through your digestive system, much of it breaks down before it can do its job. And that's exactly why many people drink green tea every day, yet don't see meaningful changes. The fix is surprisingly simple. Add a squeeze of fresh lemon juice after brewing. The vitamin C in lemon helps stabilize the catechins, slowing their breakdown and significantly improving absorption. A study from Purdue University found that combining green tea with citrus can help preserve a much higher percentage of these beneficial compounds as they move through digestion. There's one more important factor: timing. Drinking green tea immediately after a heavy meal may not deliver optimal results. A better window is mid-morning or mid-afternoon, when your body is in a more stable state for absorption. When used correctly, this becomes one of the most powerful daily habits you can adopt. But there's still one more step, one that works deeper, more comprehensively, and that's why we move to number 1. And here we are at number 1, not because it's the most popular, but because it's one of the very few options that can act on nearly everything we've just talked about, all at once. It's a warm, simple drink you can prepare right in your own kitchen. But what makes the difference isn't just the ingredient, it's how you activate it. The key ingredient is turmeric, specifically the compound curcumin inside it. Curcumin isn't just a typical anti-inflammatory. It works directly on chronic inflammation in the artery walls, helping reduce the signals that make cholesterol more likely to stick. At the same time, it helps limit LDL oxidation and supports the function of the endothelium, the layer that determines whether your blood vessels stay smooth and flexible. But if you simply mix turmeric with hot water and drink it, you'll get very little of these benefits. This is the mistake many people make. Curcumin has very low bioavailability. Your body eliminates most of it before it can be used. To truly unlock its effects, you need 2 key elements: a small amount of fat and a pinch of black pepper. The fat, from whole milk or coconut milk, helps curcumin dissolve and enter your cells. Meanwhile, the piperine in black pepper can dramatically increase curcumin absorption. Without one of these, you're missing out on most of its value. Preparation is simple. Warm up a cup of milk, add about 1 teaspoon of pure turmeric powder, a pinch of freshly ground black pepper, and, if you like, a little cinnamon for flavor. Stir gently for a few minutes and drink it in the evening, about 30 minutes before bed. That timing is not random. At night, your body shifts into repair and recovery mode. Your liver becomes more active in processing fats, and your blood vessels finally get a chance to rest and restore. When you provide the right support at the right time, the effect becomes noticeably different. Many people report that after just a few days, they feel lighter, experience less heaviness in the chest after dinner, and sleep more deeply. That's not a miracle. It's a sign that your internal systems are starting to function the way they're supposed to. If you're looking for something that can create real change, not just on paper, but in how your body actually feels day to day, this is where you should start. At this point, you might be thinking, do I need to drink all 5 of these every day? The answer is no. In fact, trying to do too many things at once usually leads to burnout, not better results. The most important thing to remember is this: not all options carry the same weight. Some play a supporting role, while others are what truly make the difference. And if you have to choose one place to start, the number 1 option is already enough to build a strong foundation. Think about it in a simpler way. Instead of spreading your attention across multiple methods, focus on one habit, but do it correctly, consistently, every single day. That's how your body responds best, especially after 60. Then, if you want to accelerate your progress, you can add one more option from higher up the list, like hibiscus tea or green tea. But that's a next step, not something you need to do right away. A very common mistake is searching for the perfect routine and delaying action. But your body doesn't need perfection, it needs consistency. So instead of asking, "What's the best of everything?" start with a simpler question. What can I realistically stick with every day without giving up? And once you answer that, you're already halfway there. Now, the important question isn't, does this work? It's, when will you start to notice a difference? Because with the body, especially after 60, nothing works like flipping a switch. It happens in stages, and when you understand that, you're far less likely to give up too early. In the first 2 to 3 days, you may not see any major changes in your numbers. But many people begin to notice something subtle. That heavy feeling after meals starts to ease. You don't feel sluggish for hours anymore. That's the first sign your digestive and metabolic systems are beginning to respond. By around days 5 to 7, the changes become more noticeable. You wake up feeling lighter. You feel less fatigued in the afternoon, and if you pay close attention, even your heart rate during light activity feels more stable. That's not random. It's a sign your blood vessels are starting to relax and circulation is improving. After about 2 weeks, many people say they feel like they've turned the clock back a few years. Not that everything disappears overnight, but there's a clear improvement in energy and overall mobility. This is when the endothelial lining begins to recover and inflammation starts to decrease. And if you stay consistent for a full 30 days, the changes are no longer just something you feel. They start to show up in your numbers. This is when you may see real differences in cholesterol or blood pressure if you check again. Not because of anything magical, but because your body has finally had enough time and the right conditions to rebalance itself. The key is this. Don't judge the results after just a few days. What you're doing isn't a quick fix. It's a restoration process, and that process takes time. But once it begins, it moves in the right direction. At this point, the most important thing you need to remember is very simple. High cholesterol is not something that can't be changed. It's not just a number on a lab report. It reflects how your body is functioning every single day. And when you target the right internal mechanisms, your body still has the ability to adjust and recover. You don't need to do too many things at once. In fact, the simpler it is, the easier it is to stick with. One small habit, repeated daily, is always more effective than a perfect plan you can't maintain long term. So here's what I want you to do. For the next 14 days, or even better, 30 days, start with the number 1 drink. Take it every evening, the right way, without skipping a day. At the same time, pay attention to your body, how you feel after meals, your energy levels throughout the day, and whether your sleep improves. If possible, write down your numbers starting today. Then check again after 2 or 4 weeks. Don't rely on feelings alone. Let the numbers show you the difference. And when you start to notice results, even small ones, come back and share. I genuinely want to hear what you experience, because every person's journey is different. If you found this helpful, leave a comment. It helps me understand what you care about, so I can share more practical guidance like this. And if you want to keep getting simple, easy-to-follow information like this, you can follow the channel, so you don't miss what comes next. Start today, not tomorrow, because your health won't wait.